What's up, folks? Welcome back to My Neck of the Woods. My name's Deco, where I share my experience, my knowledge, hoping to lessen your learning curve along the way. So today I'm going to talk about trail camera setup and things that I've done to help me be more successful with my trail cameras and get pictures. Because ultimately, that's what we want. We want pictures of deer, and it helps us pattern, helps us inventory deer. But before I get started, please sub the channel, like my videos, and make some comments. If you like this type of content where a lot of my content is product reviews and where I share the mistakes that I've made so it lessens your learning curve. So you can potentially succeed quicker than I did. It's more teaching than anything. And sometimes it's the little bit, but I thought I'd do a video on trail cameras and talk about the things that I do that have helped me become more successful with my trail cameras. And obviously I'm not going to share the mistakes that I've made, just the little tidbits on how to successfully put your trail cameras up. All right, so first off, whatever type of trail camera you have, say it's a cell camera, this one's made by Moultrie, this is a Blaze camera, this is a picture and video camera, or if you have Spy Point or Wild Game Innovations or any of those, they all kind of work the same thing, same way. We want to put them in the woods, and we want to get pictures of deer for whatever reasons. If you just want pictures for the sake of getting pictures, or if you're actually using them as a tool, as I do, where I try to inventory the deer, try to pattern where the deer are coming from, that helps me with my stand and blind and hunting placement. All right, so if you're placing it over feed, if you have a cellular camera like this or a regular camera, and you've got a big pile of corn or whatever it is in front of the camera, you want to take the setting in here and you want to set it to a low sensitivity. Otherwise, it's just going to keep snapping pictures over and over, and it's going to eat up your battery life. And if it's a cell camera, it's going to eat up whatever plan you're on, and it's going to be the same picture over and over. So you've put something in front of the camera to attract deer or whatnot, or turkeys, whatever it is. They're going to stay there, and they're going to stay there until the feed is gone, or they're going to come in the morning and they're going to come in the evening. And they're going to stay there till it's gone. It's just going to keep snapping pictures. That's not helpful to you unless that's exactly what you're looking for. Unless you're just looking for pictures of deer eating corn or whatever bait you put out, that's fine. But in the meantime, if you're not looking to eat through your plan or your batteries or any of that stuff, set it on low and it's not going to trigger as much. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Secondly, you want to, when you put your camera up, you want to remove any type of debris in front of the camera. So if it's thick as thieves wherever you're putting your camera and you want to put that camera down, you want to clear out a good 20 feet, a good 20-foot aisle in front of it, so your camera just does not continue to trigger, especially with cell cameras. I'm going to talk about cell cameras a lot because I use them a lot, and I have a lot of experience with all types of cameras. But a cell camera, we pay for plans, and it's just going to eat up those pictures, and it's ultimately going to cost you money for something that isn't an animal in front of it. All right, so you want to clean it, especially low-hanging branches, and you want to account for the wind and the weather too. So if there's a branch right above it, maybe, I don't know, 3 feet, you want to trim that back, or you want to move your camera, because when the wind blows, that's going to come down and come in front of that camera, and it's just going to cost you money. Or it's going to be blank pictures when you go through and look at your pictures, and it's going to be tough to, it's just going to take up more time than you need. So when you put your camera out, right, you really have to be specific as to where you think the deer are coming from, or where you think you have cleared an area. So when you put it out, you really have to check like the angle. So say it's up against a tree. A lot of us, we put it right up against a tree. And you want to make sure it's flush to the tree, or if say you have it at a low point, right? So there's a hill coming down here, and that's where your trail is, and then your camera's right here. So you want to point that camera up, so you're not just getting like straight across, and you're not getting the top of that ridge, or vice versa. If it's downhill, you want to make sure it's pointed down just a little bit, or flush to the tree, or whatnot. But you want to optimize that field of view specifically to the terrain that is in front of the camera. Make sense? I hope it does. All right, so another little tidbit. I'm just gonna rip through these little tidbits quick. I mean, everyone can figure them out on their own. Ultimately, when you put a camera out, you want to face it north or south, or some variant of north or south. Unless it's under deep cover and you're not going to get a lot of sunshine in there. So when the sun sets and when the sun rises, east and west, a lot of times it's going to trigger that camera. This is a huge mistake that I've made in the past, and especially with cell cameras. So like cell cameras, the IR, the infrared setting, the trigger speed, it's so sensitive that it's going to pick up any type of movement. And the sun and the light is one of those sort of components of the movement that your camera is going to pick up. So during say it's sunset, you're going to get, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 50 pictures of that sunset just because the light is changing, and the camera lens is going to pick it up because the light is changing through the leaves or the trees or whatever, and it's going to pick those up, and it's going to potentially cost you money or just snap off pictures, in turn filling your SD card or draining your batteries. Also, my next little tip here is when you hang this camera, now this is a pretty big camera. This one's, you can see the difference in size here. And then like Wild Game is even smaller. Some of the Spy Points are even smaller than that. And you can even get ones even smaller. You want to hide the silhouette of the camera. I always thought the deer wouldn't pick up on it, but they do. They do pick up on it. So say you're putting this on a tree, you want to make sure the tree is bigger than this. And if the tree isn't bigger than this, you want to cut the backdrop. So you want to take some sapling branches or whatever, and you want to lean them up against in the back to break up the silhouette of the camera. The deer is going to pick up on it because it's just something different in the woods, and I really don't think it's going to spook deer, but they're certainly going to pick up on it. Especially so those older bucks that maybe are a little more finicky about where they move. If they pick up anything, they might be out of there. And ultimately, the reason we have game cameras is so we can monitor the game while we're not there. And ultimately, we don't want to trigger them to let them know I'm there or someone's there or something different is in the woods. So you want to break up that silhouette or cover that silhouette to whatever you're mounting this on. If you want to mount this on a brush pile or whatnot, you can take a 2x4, stake it into the ground, and put it right in front of that brush pile. You know, just food for thought, little tidbits that I've come across. Now, another one that I want to talk about is putting it near your stand. A lot of us put it near our stand or where we're going to hunt. Or like, say we're getting a lot of deer traffic in one area on our camera and we decide to put a stand up. So the reason behind this is we're going to hunt that stand, right? So we're going to be into that area more often. It comes down to checking cameras too, but you want to create an area that, so say you're coming in the morning, right? And you want to check your camera before you sit. Say it's dark, right? You want to create a little path off the deer path on the way to your stand where you can check your camera. You don't want to disturb the deer trails or the deer movement or the deer traffic. You don't want to disturb that before. It's the same as when you walk to your stand. When you walk to your stand, you don't want to disturb that on the way in. So you want to find a way or put that camera in a spot that you're not going to disrupt that whole area. Or you can check it afterwards, but even so, we want to stay away from those areas where we're sort of patterning deer or inventorying deer. All right? We want to stay away from them. And then the last thing that I really want to talk about is just, it's a tool. It's a tool. We want to use it as a tool. And you want to pay attention to sorry, I'm like struggling with the damn thing over here. So we want to pay attention to why we're using it. And we want to use it that way. So I use it to inventory deer. I use it to pattern deer. I don't use it straight for pictures, obviously, because I'll be changing my settings or whatnot. But to go back to another thing about changing the settings, if it's on a pinch point or a funnel or somewhere that you want to make sure you pick up those deer quick, like if it's like a crossroads of paths, so you got one going this way and one going that way, you want to make sure that setting's on high because you want to pick up everything. Obviously, you want to remove any debris, but any type of movement coming through there, you want to pick it up. And sometimes, like if it's right in front of it, you're just going to get a deer head or a deer ass or something walking away or walking forward, but you want to be able to pay attention to the direction in which that deer is coming from. I'm sure that makes sense. That way you can help pattern those deer. So say you set up a camera, right? And it's in a crossroads. You got one trail going this way and one trail going that way, right? And you're constantly getting deer up close to the camera. You're just getting ahead or whatever. Then we want to move our camera. So we want to move the cameras back and then maybe point them at an angle, and then you can see actually where those deer are going, as opposed to just right in front. You don't know if they're just going to beeline this way or beeline this way, or they're just taking a U-turn around the tree that it's on. Ultimately, you want to move that camera and use that sort of recon and intel to help pattern those deer. But you want to use this tool the way it's intended to use. So you want to keep attention to weather and time of the year and sunrise and sunset and moon phase and direction and all these things that may or may not affect how the deer move. I think they all affect how the deer move. So, and you'll find similarities between it if you pay attention to the intel that your camera has. So like you may find that this certain buck only comes through this area when it's pouring rain. You know, it's strange, but if you keep all the intel, or I write it down in a journal, you're going to find it. You're going to find that a lot of it matches up. It matches up with moon phase, matches up with weather, matches up with certain food sources that are in the area. Certainly with time of year. I keep my cameras out all year round, and you're going to find that, you know, the deer only move through this area in the spring, or they only move in the summer, or they only move here during season. You know, food for thought. But that's what I have to say about trail cameras. Hopefully it helps you folks. Hopefully someone picked up something that they didn't know before, and you can help you. I can help you out. All right. Sub the channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Be well.